Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to MSU FCU's seminar series. I'm Therese Bacon, Financial Education Specialist. We're so glad that you could join us today to learn more about tech tips and digital resources available to you here at MSU FCU. As more of our everyday banking happens online, today's session is designed to help you feel more confident using ComputerLine and the mobile app. Today's session will be presented by two of our member tech support specialists, Liz and Jason. They'll be covering a lot of helpful information that we hope will make your everyday online banking much easier. With that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Liz and Jason to get us started.
Hello all, as Tree said, I'm Liz and there's Jason over there, and we're from the Member Technical Support team here at the Credit Union. We're going to discuss some items that are specific to MSU FCU with a focus on transferring options. We're also going to provide some general tech tips, and we're also going to talk about some commonly reported issues and the troubleshooting recommendations that resolve them. We also want to set out some expectations, so as we go along, we may not call out a specific error for each topic mentioned. But we're hoping that as the presentation continues, there may be some moments that provide an aha, oh, I didn't know that, or oh, that makes sense. Also, we wanted to say that some of these tasks or visuals that we show may already be familiar to you, but they're there to provide context to things that will be coming up. In addition, and we'll mention it a few times, most of the topics that we're going to talk about today already have video walkthroughs posted on our MSUFCU YouTube channel. So please take a look at that channel. As they say, like, share, and subscribe. So with all that in mind, let's get started. So the first item we're going to briefly talk about is our public website. What we have listed here is just a sampling of what's available under each header in the toolbar, which is a wealth of content. And what we wanted to mention in particular is the Help Center section, specifically the FAQs page under the Help Center, which is squared off in red. If you click on that FAQs link, you'll be navigated to the FAQs page, www.msufcu.org/FAQs. Here we have an FAQ for nearly every topic at the credit union. So if you're trying to find an answer for your question, but you're not having any success, please leave your feedback or question on a related FAQ, and we will review it to see where changes can be added. You can provide your feedback anonymously, or you can provide your contact info to receive a reply via e-message or phone call if there's something specific that you need help with. Now we're going to talk about ComputerLine. We imagine that most folks watching this are well versed in ComputerLine, but we want to mention some of the many features it includes, just in case you didn't know. So, of course, you can make transfers in a variety of ways, which I'll talk about here in a little bit. You can use deposit a check through e-deposit. You can use card lock. You can add travel plans. You can set custom alerts for your account. You can help us test out new products and services. You can add on additional products and services, and you can use our Pay Bills portal, which I will also talk about. And there is so much more. And again, we imagine some folks watching this are comfortable with the mobile app, but we wanted to share a few tidbits about how it compares to ComputerLine. So what can be done on the mobile app? Well, pretty much everything that's possible on ComputerLine. Okay, so what are the differences between the mobile app and ComputerLine? Well, here's a couple. Streamlined e-deposit functionality. No photo formatting needed, like on ComputerLine. That can be a little bit tricky. Also, the viewability of the app is configured to fit small devices, such as phones, tablets, and iPads. Also, biometrics such as fingerprint or Face ID work with a mobile app, which can also save time in terms of logging in. Where to download the app? You look up MSUFCU Mobile in the App Store if you're using an Apple device, or in the Play Store if you're using an Android device. And how is the login on the mobile app performed? You just use the same username and password that you use on ComputerLine. The next few slides are going to be about the sign-in process for ComputerLine and the mobile app, And then we're going to go over the common login errors we see and how they typically resolve. We realize that for most folks watching, signing in on the website and/or app is something you do frequently, but we want to provide the visuals before going over the commonly reported login issues. So on our website homepage, which is shown on the far left, click Sign In. You'll then be navigated to the username entry screen, which is shown in the middle screenshot. Usernames are not case sensitive. After clicking Continue, you'll be brought to the password screen, which is the screenshot shown all the way to the right here. Enter your password, which is case sensitive. Please also note that spaces count as characters, so be sure to not accidentally include any spaces in your password if you don't have any. Then click Submit to finish signing in. Please note that on the username screen, there's a Forgot Username link. And on the password screen, there's a Forgot Password link. These are great options to use if you get stuck. Now we're going to show the mobile app sign-in screen. Again, it's using the same username and password you would use on Computerline. Then you click Sign In. Please note the Forgot Username and Forgot Password options are available on the app home screen. The app home screen also has quick links to ATMs and branches at the bottom. This is a great feature when you're out and about. Also, in that upper left menu, you can also find general info like rates, calculators, as well as access to those FAQs I mentioned earlier. Okay, now we're going to talk about some commonly reported login issues and the typical ways they are resolved. So if you're getting an error like the information provided does not match our records or login failed, this means that the information being entered in the username and/or password fields is not the most recently saved credentials for your account. And what we say to do is please double check that information, backspace everything out, and type the information manually on the next try. If autofill on your device is trying to fill it in, ignore it. Just backspace everything out and fill it in yourself. Use the forgot username and/or forgot password links if needed. If you're getting access denied, this means that the security questions have been answered incorrectly too many times. Solution is this will require contacting MSUFCU to unlock that access. You will then be provided a temporary password to then sign in with on your next login attempt. If you're getting login is currently unavailable, try again later, or error 1020, this means that the connection being used is being denied by our app or website security. What we recommend doing is switching to a different connection if possible and trying again. If the other connection does not work, contact MSUFCU for support. This information is also available on our YouTube channel. Search login on that channel for the appropriate video. Another piece that goes along with login issues are reported issues with receiving verification codes while getting signed in. We'll start with text, since that's typically how most members choose to receive a code. So if you're not receiving the text code, please make sure your device is not sending the text to your filtered or blocked senders folder. The short code that the text comes from is 678328 if your account is MSUFCU branded, and 682848 if your account is OU Credit Union branded. The majority of accounts are MSUFCU branded. A great tip to try is to set up a new text message to the number 678328 and send the word routing to it. If you receive a reply, which will contain our routing number, mark it as being from a known sender or a favorite, whatever your device calls those. And this will ensure that you receive texts from us going forward. If you don't receive it, check your filtered or blocked senders list in your messages section. With email and voice codes, the overall gist is the same as text. With email, make sure that the code is not getting sent to a spam folder. And if it's a voice call, check to make sure that our toll-free number, 800-678-4968, is not being blocked by your device. Of course, if you have tried these troubleshooting recommendations and still can't locate the code, please reach out to the credit union. Okay, now we're going to pivot over to Move Money to talk about transferring methods. But before doing so, we wanted to mention our nightly system maintenance timeframe, since we do receive questions that relate to this, and it does affect transferring functionality. So some features, including setting up payments and transfers, are not usable or do not always function as expected between midnight and 5 a.m. Eastern Time. And this is due to the system maintenance that processes every night. So as such, we recommend processing any actions like that in your account outside of this above time frame. Now we're going to start delving into Move Money. This is how the Move Money home screen looks in the mobile app and then in Computer Line. We wanted to mention that due to the formatting of a mobile device screen, in order to view the payment calendar, that line needs to be specifically clicked on to see the payment calendar. Whereas in Computer Line, the payment calendar is immediately visible once you click the Move Money button. Otherwise, they are pretty much identical. All right, now we're going to go to the first button, which is Transfer Money. Transfer Money is where funds can be transferred between the shares on the account that you're logged into, from an MSUFCU account share or a saved external account to pay on a loan or Visa, or to shares or loans on other base accounts if those accounts have been added via transfer access paths. More on this feature shortly. We will come back to Transfer Money in a bit as it relates to this next section, which is called Manage Preferences. So Manage Preferences is where you can add an external account to make payments to a loan or Visa on this account. To begin adding the external account, click Move Money and then click Manage Preferences. Once you're within Manage Preferences, click External Transfers Account. There are 3 ways to add an external account here. You can do it through the automated Plaid process, which would make that external account usable immediately, or you can manually enter the external account routing information, and in Plaid, it sends a micro deposit with a little code within 1 to 3 business days, and you have to come back and you put it in, or manually enter the account information outside of Plaid, and then the account would be automatically available after 5 to 7 business days without further action needed on your end. And we know that's a lot. So we have 3 great video walkthroughs of these methods, and they are available on our MSUFCU YouTube channel. So once you've added and saved that external account, or if you're using an internal account, setting up a payment or transfer is initiated in the same way by clicking Move Money, then Transfer Money, then clicking on the item you wish to transfer funds to. Then, after clicking the item that you want to transfer funds to, you'll automatically be asked what account you want the funds to be withdrawn from. You will then be given a screen where you can then make any desired modifications, and then you would click Submit to submit that transfer or payment. As a note, if the payment is coming from an external account, you'll be given one more screen with an ACH disclosure. That must be accepted to finalize this payment. Otherwise, this is all that's needed in order to submit that payment or transfer. Now we're going to look at the payment calendar within Move Money, because there are times after we've set up a payment or transfer that we think, uh-oh, I need to make changes to that payment, or I just need to delete it. This is done in the payment calendar area. Click on that transfer in question under the upcoming transfers header. Then click Edit to make those desired changes, or Delete to delete. We receive questions from members frequently about whether this is something they can do on their own. So we want to let members know that if it was set up in the account by them, it is typically able to be modified or deleted while logged into the account as well. And since we're on the topic of external accounts and internal accounts, we wanted to mention the differences between them when it comes to what they are able to do and transfer money, as we receive questions about it frequently. So, internal accounts, a recurring payment or transfer can be created within the account itself, whereas with external accounts, they cannot be set up as recurring by the member within the account. Internal accounts, ability to move funds on a transfer now basis. External, the soonest a payment can be posted is the next day. Internal, transfers do not have any minimum or maximum limits beyond funds availability. External, transfers must be at least $1. Daily limit is 10,000. Rolling 30-day limit is 25,000. Internal, transfers can be made between account shares, not just to loans or visas. External, can only be used to post funds to a loan or visa. So those are those differences. Okay, so now you might be thinking, well, Liz, what if I do want to set up a recurring payment from an external account? So if the goal is to do just that, where you're setting up a recurrent payment or transfer from an external account where the transfer is being initiated on MSUFCU side, it would have to be done via one of the following methods: via an ACH origination form, which can be sent via DocuSign to your email address to be completed electronically, or in the Make a Transfer area and pay bills, which we will talk about in the next section. All right, now we're going to switch to talk about the pay bills area and move money. It's more than just bill payment. Most accounts that contain a checking share can use pay bills. This service provides the option to pay a bill, pay a person, or make a transfer. The link at the bottom contains a video on how to set up the items in each of these sections, and we will briefly go through each of these sections right now. Whether you are in Computer Line or the mobile app, you would click Move Money and then Pay Bills to get into the Pay Bills area. We have provided screenshots of how the access points appear in both. Once you've accessed Pay Bills, you'll see 4 tabs: Activity, Pay a Bill, Pay a Person, and Make a Transfer. We'll start with the Pay a Bill tab. This is where any existing billers that you've previously added will be listed, and where you would add new billers. Billers are normally items like utilities, loans or credit cards with other financial institutions, condo association fees, or other items of that nature. Some billers can be sent their payments electronically, while some would need to be sent via check. This payment method depends on whether the third party and our pay bills vendor have set up an electronic association with each other. In the simplest of terms, a large company like Citibank has an electronic association with pay bills, while the fellow who lives down the street who does your lawn care does not. That fellow could actually receive payments from you electronically via Pay a Person, which we will talk about shortly. And then just a quick look at adding a biller. It begins by clicking the Add Biller link with the plus sign above it, and then typing in the biller's name. Then click on the biller name if it comes up in the search result, or click the plus sign Add button. Then, on the next screen shown here on the right, fill in the account details and click Next at the bottom to finalize saving that biller to your Pay a Bill list. Okay, as promised, now we're going to take a look at the Pay a Person section. So this is where you would add a person to send them funds electronically using their mobile number or email address as a notification method, like that fellow who does your lawn care. A benefit to this is that neither side has provided the other's account information. Also, as an extra precaution, a security question and answer must be agreed upon between the member and the receiver, and you would need to add that information to the person's contact record. So, sample Q&A. What's Liz's favorite toast topping? Answer: cinnamon sugar. Another piece with Pay a Person, since we get a lot of questions about how this looks to the receiver, their first transfer experience, we wanted to share what it looks like with you. And again, this is their first transfer. So how it looks is the receiver will receive a text or email, depending on what you set up for them, stating that first name, last name has sent you money. That receiver must click the link in that notification. They will then be asked to enter the answer to the security question that you two have agreed upon. Once answered correctly, they can then enter their account information. The account can be at MSUFCU or at another US-based financial institution. Again, future instances of Pay a Person to this receiver will just simply deposit the funds to the saved account. So the receiver only needs to do this setup once unless they need to change their account information. Now we're going to talk about the third and last money transferring section in pay bills, which is called make a transfer. When an external account is added here, it will use your MSUFCU checking account as the source or destination of the funds, depending on which direction the transfer is going. Transfers can be set up as one time or recurring, as I mentioned earlier. Okay, you may be asking yourself at this point, didn't she just talk about another spot to add an external account? Yes, I did. However, this is different from the process I mentioned earlier, manage preferences, because external accounts added via manage preferences can only be used to make payments directly to loans or visas housed on the account. That payment area is often used more by members who don't have a checking account here. So a way to remember it is manage preferences if you don't have a checking account here, and pay bills is possible if you do. So to start adding that external account, click make a transfer, then select an account, and then add external account. After you've clicked add external account, you will see a list of financial institutions. You can then look up your financial institution to add it automatically, or you can scroll to the bottom of the list and click the link that's labeled enter account information manually to do just that. Again, videos of this process are on our MSUFCU website and on our YouTube channel. Okay, this slide is to show how the payment transfer setup appears in pay bills, which looks the same whether you're using pay a bill, pay a person, or make a transfer. Put in the amount you want to process and click the arrow to the right of the amount field to make any desired changes to the deliver date and repeats. If you don't make any changes to the deliver date or repeats, it will default to sending it as soon as possible on a one-time occurrence. Then you click Done. After clicking Done, you'll then see a Confirm screen. Click Confirm if you want to proceed. If you need to make changes or it turns out you don't want to proceed, click the X in the upper right of the pop-up. If you do wish to proceed, click Confirm and then click Done on the next pop-up. One more main tab to look at in pay bills. This is Activity. This is the history part of Activity, which will show the most recent transfers or payments that were processed in the pay bills area. Also within the Activity tab is the Scheduled tab. This will show you anything that you have scheduled in pay bills that hasn't processed yet. One last tidbit about pay bills. Since we do receive questions from time to time about this topic, we wanted to share the standard payment limits in pay bills. So basically, pay a bill is about 25,000, pay a person to make a transfer 10,000, and about $100,000 for weekly monthly limits, and the minimum transaction limit is a penny. We have one more section to talk about in Move Money, which is called Member to Member, also known as M2M. This allows MSUFCU members to initiate transfers to other members here using the intended receiver's mobile number or email address. This is a great option when two MSUFCU members do not share any accounts here. Some items to know / frequently asked questions to us. An email address or mobile number can only be enrolled on one account at a time. The M2M transfer limits per sending account are $1,500 daily and $25,000 monthly. Receiving members have 7 calendar days from the date and time the M2M transfer is sent to be able to accept it. How to enroll and receive funds. So this is what we want to talk about because we receive questions about this frequently. So here on the right, enter the phone number, email address, and then click Next. So if you've received an email or text stating that another member has sent you funds via member to member, but the Receive tab within member to member shows no funds yet, please click that contact information link. Then the exact contact information that received the notification must get enrolled in order to accept the funds. As examples, if you received an email stating that you have a member to member transfer waiting to be accepted, that exact email address must be enrolled in order to accept the funds. Likewise, if you received a text message, that phone number would need to be enrolled. So after you click Next, we will send a verification code to that provided contact info. We want to ensure that this is a legitimate request. Once you receive that code, enter it in the provided box and click Next. Then select a share to have your M2M funds deposit into. Click Enroll, and then review the terms and conditions for member to member and click Accept. At this point, you should see the success screen. If you have a transfer waiting, the notification will appear a little differently depending on whether you're in computer line or in the app, and it's shown here on the right-hand side. So now if you'd like to use member to member to send funds to another member, this is how you would add that member as an M2M contact. So you would click on Move Money and then click Member to Member. Enter the member's contact information and then click Add New. The next screen will ask for a name. After entering their name, click Next. This will save your contact and will automatically proceed you to the transfer setup screen. Select the share to withdraw the funds from, enter the amount, and then click Send. Before the transfer notification is sent, a terms and conditions disclosure will appear on screen. Please take a moment to review this before you press Accept. So once Accept is clicked, this is what will happen. The M2M transfer notification will be sent to your contact, and the funds will be withdrawn from your account and placed in a holding ledger here at the credit union. The funds will remain in that ledger until they are accepted, at which point they will go into that accepting account. If they are declined, the funds will be returned to your account. If the transfer expires, the funds will be returned to your account. We can also manually cancel that transfer if it hasn't been accepted yet. We wanted to mention these items because we received questions about what happens to the funds after the transfer has been initiated, but before they have been accepted. Okay, now as referred to a little while ago, we're going to talk a little bit about transfer access paths and then how do they compare to member, since we receive questions about how these compare frequently. So transfer access paths allow members to transfer funds between different MSU-FCU accounts that they are listed on while they're logged into their account. This type of transfer option has no daily or monthly maximums or acceptance enrollment requirements. The person requesting the setup must be listed on both accounts. So how can members request that transfer access paths be added? Just by contacting us via any one of our normal contact channels. And then once a transfer access path is added, you would be then able to make that transfer by logging into the sending account, clicking Move Money, and then Transfer Money. It is a push system, not a pull. And going along with that, we want to provide examples of when a transfer access path would be doable versus when member to member or pay bills, pay a person would make sense. So in the first example, Jill, she has two accounts. She's the only person listed on both of them. One is a personal, one is a business. She could set up transfer access paths between them because she can just transfer between them. She's the only person listed on both of them. It makes sense. Whereas on example 2, we have two people who are roommates. They do not share accounts, but they do want to be able to transfer funds to each other for, rent items, bills, things like that. They could use member to member. They could also use pay person and pay bills. And that is all for the Move Money section. As mentioned earlier, we have video walkthroughs of these topics on our website, as well as on our YouTube channel. The QR codes for these will be shown on screen at the very end of the presentation. And now I'm going to turn it over to Jason. He's going to talk about how to utilize Chat with Fran to get the information you're looking for and provide general tech tips.
Yeah, thanks, Liz. Let's start by chatting about Fran, our virtual assistant. Fran is named after MSU-FCU's first full-time manager and is a chat option we offer on our website and mobile app that's available to assist with quick questions and account-specific tasks, but is completely optional to use. You can always just open the chat option and ask for a human to be connected to an employee. But today I want to provide some tips on how to utilize Fran to get the information that you're looking for. So when chatting with Fran, you want to ask one question at a time, use keywords applicable to what you're looking for, try to be specific and concise as possible, and avoid long sentences with information that does not relate to your question. So in summary, keep your questions short, sweet, and to the point. Then a pro tip, if you have feedback for Fran, please be sure to click the thumbs down icon after clicking the X in the upper right-hand corner to leave your feedback. Any feedback will be forwarded to our virtual assistant experience team. And on this slide, we can see two examples of conversations with Fran, a good one and a not so great one. So on the left, we have an example where the member asks to remove the joint party from the account. Fran was able to recognize that and provide the correct document. The example to the right, where too much information was given, Fran was unable to determine what the member was asking and thus cannot successfully provide an answer to the question. So that was a quick look at Fran. On this slide, we'll give a brief overview of some of the other additional information that I'll cover today. So we'll start by discussing different types of browsers members can use to access our website. Then we'll take a look at different types of internet connections and their pros and cons. Next, we'll take a look at what internet service providers are and what an IP address is. And after that, we'll take a moment to look at why updating your device is a good thing and how to keep your device running healthy. And then we'll wrap up with a look at device security, security best practices, and password managers. So let's first focus on browsers. It's likely that most of us have a preferred web browser, but here at MSU FCU, we officially support using one of these four browsers: Chrome, Edge, Firefox, and Safari. When using an unsupported browser besides one of these four, you may sometimes run into issues loading certain aspects of our website, or just general login issues. MSU FCU is not able to guarantee that we will be able to support users using an unsupported browser. So if you do run into issues with your browser, we'd first recommend ensuring that you're using one of the four supported browsers. We next want to make sure that that browser is up to date. To check for updates for Chrome, Firefox, or Edge, click the menu icon in the upper right-hand corner, go down to Settings, and then find About browser name, and then select Check for Updates from there. To update Safari, navigate to System Preferences, Software Updates, and if available, Update Now. A third step that you can take is to review the installed browser extensions and try turning those off within the browser settings there. And for additional information on supported systems, please visit msufcu.org/supported systems. Next, let's take a look at what's needed to use a web browser. Let's talk about internet connections. There are typically two types of network connections that a person may use: cellular data and Wi-Fi. Cellular data, or often just called cell data, is a type of internet connection that allows devices, usually cell phones, to connect to the internet without a wire or a Wi-Fi connection. A device using cellular data uses cell towers to create an internet connection. Next, let's chat about Wi-Fi. Most of us have a Wi-Fi connection in our home and rely on this for seamless connection to the internet for most of our devices. But let's dive a bit deeper into what Wi-Fi is and how it works. Wi-Fi uses radio waves to connect to the internet without the need for cables. Wi-Fi connection is established using a router, which is connected to your internet service provider. Wi-Fi can also have differing connection speeds and often varies based on the device location in relation to the router creating that Wi-Fi connection. Continuing our look at different types of internet connections, let's take a look at VPNs. VPN, which stands for Virtual Private Network, adds a layer of security to existing Wi-Fi or cell data connections by encrypting those connections. A VPN will also hide a user's home IP address instead of using an IP address that comes from another location. So what is the point of a VPN? Why are these becoming increasingly popular? VPNs allow users to hide their browsing activity, identity, and location, allowing for greater browsing privacy and autonomy than a standard Wi-Fi or cell data connection. You can get VPNs from a mobile app for your mobile devices or through software installed onto your computer. And finally, here are a few examples of the most popular VPNs that are out there. And NordVPN, ExpressVPN, and Norton 360. Those are just a few examples of VPN services, but ultimately it's up to you as a user to determine if you need a VPN and find one that matches your needs. So now we've covered the different types of internet connections. Let's take a closer look at the pros and cons of each of those connections. There's a lot of information on the slide, so I'll just give a highlight of a few pros and cons of each connection. Cell data works great as it's widely available and can be used when Wi-Fi or a wired connection is not available. A drawback of cell data is that it can be expensive, especially without an unlimited data plan, and costs can add up the more that network is used. Wi-Fi is a great service that most of us have in our home and our workplaces. Wi-Fi also has its pros and cons. A huge benefit of Wi-Fi is that it's generally cheaper than cell data mentioned before, but could be more expensive depending on the internet speed provided by that service provider. Another drawback of Wi-Fi is that it has a limited range. I know in our house, it's older, when I'm in a particular room, that Wi-Fi connection will be a little bit weaker than it would be if I were right next to my router. So next, let's take a look at some pros and cons of VPNs. VPNs are great for added browsing and internet security. They secure your browsing data by encrypting your current Wi-Fi or cellular data connection. VPNs also mask your IP address, which helps protect your browsing traffic, can help block site trackers from collecting search information. A few downsides of VPNs are that they can potentially slow down your internet speed by encrypting your connection. Depending on the IP address the VPN is using, they can also cause difficulty accessing websites and mobile apps. And free or cheap VPNs can be slow, insecure, and may collect your data while in use. So those are a few pros and cons of those different types of internet connections. So by now we've mentioned internet service providers and IP addresses. I think it'd be helpful to understand what those are and how to define them. An internet service provider, often abbreviated as just ISP, is a company that provides internet for residential and business customers. Most common ISPs are companies like Comcast, Xfinity, Spectrum, AT&T, T-Mobile, and so many more. So that's what an ISP is. Now let's chat about IP addresses. An IP address, or Internet Protocol address, is a unique string of numbers that identifies a device's connection to the internet or local network. Wi-Fi connections or cellular data connections have separate, different IP addresses, as those are different connections from the same service providers. As an example, a cell data connection with Verizon has a different IP address than your Wi-Fi through Xfinity. So what does this all mean for us here, and how does this relate to logging into services and accounts? Most banking sites, including MSU FCU, have login security that identifies your IP address and checks it against other IP addresses you've logged in with to verify if it's consistent with your previous login activity. If that IP address matches or is similar, you can usually log in without any additional security prompts. If an IP address is drastically different than your prior connections, you may be prompted with additional security verification steps like two-factor authentication or even CAPTCHA. I'll talk more about those two in just a bit. And an important note, if an IP address is being provided from a VPN, its location may differ significantly, which can trigger security systems and result in access issues or errors, such as login is currently unavailable. Next, let's go over why it's important to apply device software updates. So why should we update our devices? Regular updates to devices help improve security by installing security patches that the software company has deployed. Updates can also help improve your device's performance by fixing bugs, adding new features, and enhancing existing ones. Updates are also beneficial as they can help your device stay up to date with the latest software and applications. A downside of avoiding software updates is that your device may become more vulnerable to security threats or bugs. You may also notice your device is becoming slower if you have not updated the device's software. Typically, a device will only offer so many years of updates, after which it'll stop receiving them. If this is the case, it's generally recommended to consider a newer device that's receiving these updates. To check what compatible software is needed for our systems, please visit our website, msufcu.org/supported systems. So we looked at how updating your device can help keep it secure and running well. But what else can we do? Let's take a look at other ways we can maintain device health. One simple but impactful way to help maintain device health is occasionally restarting your device. This helps by freeing storage space that's taken up by temporary files and caches that the operating system and apps may be holding on to. When storage is getting full, the device can start to slow down. Another benefit of restarting your device is that can help eliminate issues that occur when remnants of apps are incompatible or improperly removed after installation or uninstallation. This can look like an app not opening or a portion of the app not working as it should. All this to say, occasionally restarting your device can help keep your device running smoothly and as quickly as possible. So that was a quick look at some tips to help keep your device running its best. Next, we want to pivot a bit and take a closer look at some security practices, starting with CAPTCHA and two-factor authentication, often referred to as 2FA. CAPTCHA is something that we've all probably run into on a website before. It's those prompts that make you click the bikes or crosswalks to prove you're human. CAPTCHA checks like this are used on most banking or secure login websites with the goal of identifying human login attempts versus bot login attempts. This type of security helps keep login sessions safe and secure by presenting a challenge for users to complete, in which bots cannot complete. These challenges are often quick and easy and may look like clicking those pictures of bikes, or simply clicking a box, or completing a text field. Two-factor authentication, or 2FA, is another layer of added security for account logins. 2FA prompts the user to provide an additional form of authentication besides a username and password. This often looks like entering a code sent to the user through email, text, or phone call. 2FA adds a layer of security in the event the account username and password are compromised, ensuring unauthorized access is prevented without the 2FA code. MSU-FCU uses CAPTCHA in some cases, as well as 2FA for added login security. So next, we're going to take a quick look at 3 other methods of added security you may encounter. Let's start with biometric logins. Biometric logins are a form of security that verifies a user's identity by using biometric traits such as fingerprints, retinas, or facial features. This is most common when unlocking mobile phones or using saved login information on that device. We see this with Apple devices, iPhones using Touch ID and Face ID, MacBooks utilizing Touch ID, and most Android devices feature fingerprint readers to unlock the devices or to access sensitive data like safe passwords. Biometric logins are, most importantly, completely optional. Some people will want to use the standard process to access a device passcode. Using a device passcode is a great way to add layers of security that help keep your devices secure if it's lost or stolen. It is strongly recommended to use a longer, more complex passcode to unlock your device. This means avoiding patterns of numbers, birthdays, as a few examples. And as always, it's good to occasionally update your device or occasionally update your passwords and passcodes. Updating these allows you to have greater security over logins in the event your login credentials get compromised. It is also recommended to avoid using the same passwords for multiple sites. Password managers are another way to help manage your login security. Password managers are software programs or apps that store usernames and passwords in a secure digital vault. Most password managers will only need one primary password to access other saved passwords within the app or software. So what are the benefits of a password manager? One benefit is that most password managers encrypt saved passwords, making it very difficult to hack and to get stored passwords. It's also easier to remember passwords when they're saved in an app or software for you. There are also some drawbacks to using a password manager as well, including that if the password manager is hacked, that may open the door for the hackers to gain access to all of your saved passwords within the password manager. This is why if you use a password manager, it's a good idea to enable two-factor sign-in for that password manager and to use a complex master password. Additionally, some password managers may not work with some apps or websites, relying instead on the user to remember and to enter their username and password. So, what are the key takeaways from today, Liz? What would you like folks to remember?
Glad you asked, Jason. So, from my section, I would like folks to remember that if you're receiving a login error, most of the time it can be resolved by deleting the information from the login fields and retyping it manually. If you're not receiving a verification code, check the blocked and filtered folders on your device, spam folders. The code might be going there. Third thing, there are multiple ways to pay or transfer funds. It just depends on where the funds are coming from, where they are intended to go, and the frequency. And then I'm going to punt it back to you. What do you want people to remember, Jason?
Yeah, thanks, Liz. Yeah, it's encouraged to keep your devices up to date to have the best chance at a secure digital experience. Once a device's support window expires, which is typically after 5 years, it won't be able to receive those crucial software updates we talked about, which can leave it open to security threats. Restarting your device is a simple step you can take to keep your device running smoothly as possible. I would like to recommend at least once a week. We will always advise utilizing strong security measures to protect your device and account, but it's at your discretion as to what measures you'll take.
So yeah, we have some helpful links here on screen. Just come to our website and then /contact, /pay bills, /support systems. Of course, you can inform our financial education team for future content. And as promised, here are some QR codes. But if you're already on our YouTube channel, I bet you can find these playlists. Thank you very much for watching.
Thank you.
All right, thank you both. So that wraps up our Tech Tips and Digital Resources presentation here. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch today. And a big thanks to Liz and Jason for all the helpful information that you provided. We really hope that this session helped you feel more confident using MSU FCU's digital tools and resources, from navigating our website and using Fran to transferring money securely, and really keeping those devices and online banking experience just running smoothly all around. If you have additional questions, our team is always here to help. So feel free to visit a branch, call us, or chat in for assistance. Thank you again for watching, and we hope to see you at a future MSU FCU Seminar Series event soon. Have a good day.